Hi, Paul from Harding Music here. Today we're on the guitar and we're going to be talking about chords. As a guitarist, chords are really your bread and butter. They create harmony, and in any group, the guitarist's first job really is usually to provide the harmony. So we're going to be looking at 3 chords today, which are quite simple ones, all 3-finger chords, and ones that go really nicely together, like a big musical sandwich. The chords are D, G, and A. They're full titles, of course: D major, G major, and A major. If ever a chord is referred to just as a letter name, we assume that it's a major chord rather than a minor chord or a 7th chord or a diminished chord. But more about that later. We're going to look at our 3 chords today. We're going to start with the D. Now, I'm assuming at this stage that you are already familiar with the strings of the guitar. There is another video that you can look at which has that information on as well. So we're going to start with our D chord. As I say, they're all 3-finger chords. D uses fingers on the bottom 3 strings of the guitar, which are the G, the B, and the high E. Okay, we're going to use our first 3 fingers. Finger 1 is going to go on the G string, the 3rd string up. And really, to get a nice tone, you want to be fairly forward in the fret, in the 2nd fret, that is. We're going to go on the G string, 2nd fret. You want to be fairly far forward in this fret, but not touching the metal fret itself there. So the reason for that is it gives you a nice tone. The string is slightly more flexible towards the front, so it's easier to hold down as well. Okay, finger 2, we're going to miss out string 2 and we're going to go down to string 1. Okay, the high E, and that is also on 2nd fret. So we've got, to recap, we've got finger 1 on the G string, fret 2, finger 2 on the E string, also fret 2. Your ring finger now, finger 3, is going to go in between them onto the B string, or the 2nd string, fret 3, like so. Okay, now very important when you see people trying, particularly with the D chord, you see people starting off this chord and their fingers often collapse like this. It gives you this sort of sound. It's not particularly pleasant and it's not particularly satisfying to play. So what you really want to be doing is keeping those fingers nice and curved, nice and curled. Okay, really nice and curled. Okay. The reason for this, if you think about it, if your finger is pressing down on the string, say this is the string and your finger's pressing down on it, if it's collapsed, then you're only getting this much power into it, the width of a finger. Whereas if it's curved, then you're not only getting the length of your finger, but you're getting the whole of this distance here, all pushing down into that string. It makes it much easier. A word on thumbs. With any chord, really, to have good technique, your thumb should be round the back here. I like to pretend there's a sort of invisible line about 2/3 of the way up my guitar, and my thumb is always there. I always tell my students, you play the guitar like a lobster. You want to push from the front as well as the back. So your thumb is nice and safely tucked away at the back here, and your 3 fingers on the D chord. Now, I have also a separate video on how to hold a plectrum. I'm assuming that people are using plectrums for this. You don't have to, but I like to a lot of the time. So I'm not going to go into how to hold a plectrum. There is another video on that. But in terms of what strings to use, there is a technically wrong way to do this. A lot of people hold down the D chord and then strum all of the strings, which gives a muddied, not very pleasant sound. And there's a reason for that. It's because you are playing an open E at the top there. This is not a note which comes into the D chord. The notes in the D chord are a D, an F sharp, and an A. So technically everything else we're doing is one of those notes. We don't want to play this top string. So technically, you should either start on the 5th or the A string with your strum, or on the 4th, which is the D string. Okay, and there is your D. So that's chord 1 that we're going to use. Now to get to the G, which is technically chord 4, but it's our 2nd chord, we're going to move this finger down 1 string. So our ring finger, our 3rd finger, is going to come down to the bottom to the E string on fret 3. So immediately below where it was on the G. fret 3 there. These two fingers are going to come off. This middle finger, finger 2, is going to go stretch all the way up there to fret 3 of the top E string, or the low E string really, but string 6 there at the top. Finger 1 is going to come down onto the A string there on fret 2. So we've got 3, finger 3 is on fret 3 of the high E, finger 2, fret 3 of the low E, and finger 1, fret 2 of the A. It's a beautiful sounding chord on the guitar because we use a lot of open strings on it, the G chord. So let's hear what that sounds like. And for this one, the good news is you can strum all of the strings. So it's a beautiful, bright and bold sounding chord, the G major. Okay, so just to recap there, we have the D chord, followed by the G chord. Okay, and they go together really nicely. Now, to get to the A chord, we're going to start with the first finger. So the first finger from the G, finger 1, is going to move down 1 string there to the D string fret 2. D string fret 2. Your middle finger, finger 2, is going to go right underneath it. You may have to nudge it back slightly to get to that place. And then finger 3 is going to go immediately underneath that. It's a bit of a squash and a squeeze, but we've got 3 fingers on the on the D, the G, and the B strings, all in fret 2. So 3 fingers on the D, G, and B strings, all in fret 2. So if you're working in string numbers, that's string number 4, string number 3, and string number 2, all in fret 2. And again, you can strum all of the strings on this one, which gives you your lovely, big, bright A chord. So A chord. I'm going to show you the transition from the G to the A again. So if we're back at our G, finger 1's going to come down a string onto fret 2 on string 4. Finger 2 is going to come down a string, going to come all the way down there to fret 2 on string 3. And finger 3 tucks in just underneath it. They should just about fit. Even with my chubby fingers, they just about fit. But there we go. Okay, so the reason why we learnt those 3 chords, not only are they quite playable and all have the same number of fingers on them, but they go together very well in lots of songs. There's loads of songs, La Bamba, Twist and Shout, any song that's described as having a 1-4-5 chord structure, which you might come across at various points. Even if it's not in the key of D, which we are in here, even if it's not in the key of D, can be transposed into that key or played with a capo so that you're in the right key. But those 3 chords, they were the first 3 chords that I learnt on the guitar, and they've served me very well ever since. They're chords that you will use virtually every day of your guitar playing when you're playing chords. So we'll just recap through those again. D, sorry, playing the full chord. Remembering not to catch this top string, that's a no-no. G, and A. Do that one more time. D, G, and A. And once you get comfortable with them, you can try it with some strumming patterns. Okay, remembering to keep those fingers nice and curved. So that's all for this video. Feel free to go back and rewind through various bits. Particularly, I would recommend having another look at the transitions from one chord to the other. They can be really helpful in getting our fingers to move from chord to chord a little more quickly and sounding a little more fluent. But thank you for watching, and hope to see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.